So, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. It's a sequel to the sequel slash reboot of the classic Jumanji. So, this is technically the third Jumanji film. It's also technically the fourth Jumanji film because there was that Zathura in 2005. It's also technically the second Jumanji film because it's the sequel to the last one, which in itself is kind of its own thing, kind of a sequel, kind of a reboot. Anyway, very confusing timeline. Let's talk about what the movie is. It's a couple of kids get trapped in a video game where they're a bunch of famous actors and comedians. I mean, not like that's not part of the plot. We know they are. And then this time around, they have a couple of older men with them. So basically, just Danny DeVito and his one very fancy friend. That's a very weird way to describe the movie, but it's a bunch of kids and old people get stuck in a video game and try and get out. That's the best I can describe it. Anyway, let's talk about the good. It had a really fun adventure feel to it. A lot of great set pieces, a lot of great action scenes, especially one with a lot of monkeys and bridges in the jungle. Of course, all the action scenes are great. Great choreography with the fighting. And then I loved all the different locations that were quite different from the original film. They were definitely giving it a different feel. The movie was, of course, very funny. You got such talent like Jack Black, Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart, Karen Gillan. And then in this one, you had people like Danny DeVito, Awkwafina. Just a great cast that were very funny. They did a good job in their roles. I'll explain more on that later. I had some issues with it. But they're all funny, like, with what they were doing. You could see that they were doing new stuff, but when they came back to the characters from the last film, since, kids switched bodies here and then, they switched avatars. That was interesting enough. And of course, the plot was definitely a rehash for the original, but they changed enough things so that it did feel different in some ways. And of course, the music of this movie kind of had like an Indiana Jones vibe at times, which I really did like. And overall, it's just a fun and entertaining movie that I can just have a blast watching. Not like it's some huge technical marvel or anything new at all. It's basically just the last movie with a few things changed up. But the last movie was fun, and so is this one. Now, some of the bad things with the movie are, it kind of dulls a little in the middle, where there's still a couple of action scenes in there. I feel like everything that is, after the emu chase, but before the thing with the monkeys, I mean, people will know, like, when that section is, it was quite boring for me, because there was just a lot of characters bickering with each other. Well, there were a few good reveals and like one or two good like little action set pieces. Overall, it just wasn't as funny, wasn't as entertaining. It went quite slow there. And then they had this whole kind of conflict between the two grandfathers or the two older men about like some pact with the restaurant. It just didn't work for me. Sure, it had a good resolution, but overall, all the build up in the fighting in that plot, it just didn't work for me, besides like the resolution and then a bit of the setup with Danny DeVito and the other actor in the real world. And then also another issue I have with the film, Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart and everyone's kind of impressions of these older people, like kind of embodying the older people. It was funny at first, but I felt like those jokes like overstayed their welcome by like the middle or the end of the film. Just them, like, acting like older people and being confused, everyone getting mad at them, that didn't work for me for long. Luckily, they did eventually kind of change it up near the middle to the end, where they did have people switch bodies, but even then, like, the older people, just the impression that the older people got old. I mean, old, really fast. And then there was one decision that one of those men made at the end of the movie that just, it didn't work for me. In the end, it had a nice conclusion, and it did set up a third film. I'm not sure this one needs it, unless it does something new. Because I don't think another trip in Jumanji would just be worth going to the theater another time. It would basically do another one, just do like the same thing again. So unless they do something new with the third film, if they were to make one, then I'm not sure I would see it besides a few laugh. I don't think they could do a third one unless they did something new. But overall, it was still a fun movie. I did have a good time, even if it wasn't, a great new story like the last one kind of was with new ideas. But, still fun. I would give this a 7.5 out of 10, and I would say if you like the last one, go see this one. It's still funny. But this is something where, like, you don't need to see it immediately. You can 100% wait to watch this. Anyway, I hope like the review. My next video is Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker coming on Friday. So, and I'll have my review out on the day. I hope you guys liked the video. Be ready for a lot more content coming up, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.